Hey buddy, welcome back to the channel and to World of Warships. So today I'm playing the Tier 9 French cruiser, the Saint Louis, and it's a 3-cap domination game on the map Trap. So I have been showcasing a lot of games in the Tier 10, the Henri, and also one from I was grinding the Tier 8 Charles Martel. So today I thought it was time to showcase a game in the Saint Louis, of course, which is really sitting right in between the Tier 8 and the Tier 10. I mean, at Tier 9 you get access to the heal, which is kind of a game changer coming from the Tier 8 Charles Martel. But you are still not really as strong as the Tier 10 Henri. So I'm not really sure what this guy was doing, but whatever. But I must say, this is probably one of the strongest Tier 9 ships, if we're talking tech tree cruisers, that is in the game right now. I'm not sure if this New Orleans is a bot or... yeah, whatever. I'm getting sidetracked. Before I grinded this line, I always thought that the German Tier 9, the Rune, was one of the most tankiest and most powerful Tier 9 cruisers. But after grinding the Saint Louis, who shares a lot of the strength from the Tier 9 Henri, I must say this ship really is in a class of its own, because with this heal comes the tankiness from the Henri, which means that you can play quite aggressive, and playing aggressive gives you that amazing damage numbers that you're starting to see at Tier 10 in the Saint Louis, in the Henri. So here I'm just cruising around the B cap, trying to spot some targets to shoot at. Helena is pushing straight into the B cap, and I'm of course switching directly to my French armor piercing, and punishes that player pretty well. And here I try to do some blind shots into the fire, into the smoke, which I actually realized is quite efficient in these French cruisers, as you can see, because these shells really hurt, especially when you unlock the Henri with its 240mm shells. You can really punish cruisers and destroyers hiding in smokes. Now, as I said, this game is from when I was hard grinding this line. I grinded the Tier 8, the Tier 9, and unlocked the Tier 10 in just over a week, I think. So it was quite intense grinding. So in this game you will see me do a lot of mistakes that comes from not having really learned how to play the ship line yet. But also, as you will see, even though I make huge mistakes, which cost me pretty much my whole ship and then some in health, I will still be able to survive the whole match and have a really high damage output. So this game was before I realized that these ships are not as strong while pushing a flank as they are while kiting, playing a more defensive role on a flank. So the best way that I could pretty much play here is to actually turn around facing the other way and then just pretty much reverse towards the enemy ships, spamming them with fires and be able to quickly get out of harm's way when they start to push. Now this enemy in North Carolina pops up straight in front of me, and I know of course the North Carolina has some really potent heavy plunging AP, so I do want to put this island in front of me as soon as possible before he is able to turn his guns. He shoots and I start to try and angle in and manage to dodge the majority of the shells. Now here was the moment that I was kind of wanting to reverse around, and I knew that he wasn't really looking at me, so I thought I was be able to do this turn before he managed to turn his turrets, so I could assume the kiting position, but yeah. That's almost 75% of my health gone in one shot. And that's not the last time you will see that in this match. But that is kind of my point. If you saw my last Henri video that I uploaded on my channel, where I pretty much fought a Yamato, a Salem, a Montana and a Sao, and I was on 14,000 hit points, and after killing the Sao and killing the Yamato and just playing around with the Salem for a while, I had just lost 1,000 health points, so I still had 13,000. So that is pretty much the point I'm trying to make, that even though you make huge mistakes that you will see me do 2 times in this video, that could probably have cost me my ship. First time was of course when this North Carolina, who I get some sweet revenge on right now, blapped me for 60-70% of my life, and also a bit later in the game where I do pretty much the same mistake with the enemy Nagato, that even though I'm a bit crippled health wise, these French cruisers can still really make a difference in the game, because I'm at half health right now, but I'm just getting started. So right now I'm just pushing up this flank, trying to get some crossfire in on these enemy ships. This Nagato has pushed in between our ships in the south. He's fighting 2 ships in the B cap right now, sorry, 3 ships. And of course I'm in a perfect position to take his broadside when he pushes out of the B cap. We also have a enemy St. Louis, which of course makes me a bit more cautious, because playing these French cruisers. The only ships I fear pretty much in the game is other French cruisers. And I can say, just by grinding these 3 ships in a really short period, and all the fun and all the great matches I had in these 3 ships, I can't wait until they release the French destroyers that has pretty much the same kind of playstyle like these French cruisers have. Extreme high speed and really fast shooting guns with the main battery reload booster, of course. I've seen a couple of CC videos where people have showed off the tier 9, I think it's Mordor or something it's called, and also the tier 10 French destroyer, the Kleber. And I've seen many CCs facing a tier 10 Japanese gunboat destroyer, the Harugumo, which up till this point has pretty much been the most feared tier 10 destroyer gunboat. And the Kleber has pretty much defeated the Harugumo in a 1 versus 1 using the French reload. Yeah, and here was the second time I fucked up in this game, costing me almost the rest of my life. But I managed to heal back somewhat. Now I'm down to 6,000, 7,000 health. But I am still way off my finishing score, so to speak. I finish off the enemy St. Louis, but I will still be able to pump out a whole lot of damage, even though I'm at 6,500 HP right now. And that is one of the strengths of these cruisers. As I said earlier in my last Henri video, where I managed to get 284,000 damage, I engaged 4 ships pretty much on my own, because it was a friendly sow helping him out in the start that was killed off. And I pretty much burned down Yamato that had 60,000 HP and heals, and killed off a sow, and also damaged Salem, while only losing 1,000 HP. So even though these ships may get really low health-wise, you can really never count them out of the fight, because they will still be very potent and still will be able to pretty much change the outcome of the game. So I got my Confederate while blapping this enemy Buffalo's citadel. Now, of course, I have to be a bit cautious, because one salvo from one of these 2 battleships can, of course, finish me off. So I can't really play as aggressive as I'm used to. I'm hoping that our 2 battleships on our team can do something. We see a full health Nagato sitting down at the A-cap. So hopefully he can do some damage to this enemy Sinop as well. I have one enemy ship targeting me. I'm not really sure if it's Alsace or Sinop or some of the cruisers. It's the enemy Buffalo that wants some payback. I'm just checking so the enemy Synop doesn't have angles on me. And god damn, who ordered a rainbow? I'm guessing that the enemy Atlanta, yeah. And that's not really a ship that I want to fight right now, even though he's much lower tier than I am. Because I don't have any heals left. And of course he sets me on fire. So I can't really let the fire burn out. And I'm just praying to RNGesus right now that he won't be able to set me on another fire, because that would probably mean that I'm dead. Not really sure what this full health Yugumo is doing, spamming torps from the second line behind this island. And who he's trying to kill with those torps, except me. Yeah, there are some questionable players on my team this match. So I get spotted, and of course the enemy Atlanta starts opening up on me once again. I managed to set a fire on the Atlanta, so I shot off my torps in the gap between the islands, hoping that he will be aggressive and try to push me and maybe run into my torps. Meanwhile, I'm trying to find a dip in this island so I can lob my shells over at this low health Assas, because of course I'm at my 4th kill, so getting a Kraken out of this game after doing 170k damage would of course be a nice ending. But I'm not really sure if this fire that I set on the enemy battleship will be enough. Meanwhile, the Yugumo that has been hiding behind the island most of the game decided it was a good thing to push into a radar Atlanta. Yeah. This is the guys you're playing with in randoms. But back to this enemy Alsace. Will I get the finishing shots? He pops up, I take my shot. Will this be my Kraken? Well, of course not. One of the 2 battleships that has been sitting at the ACAP entire match finally thought it was a great idea to take a shot, of course. But still a pretty good game. 4 kills, Confederates, and 170k damage done. The Nagato gets killed off by the enemy Kagero. Now I'm pretty sure we have enough lead to just sit this one out and still be able to win by points. But at the same time, I'm guessing that Kagero will make a hard push for the ACAP, trying to get some free XP. And of course trying to block our tickets. So I thought I send some torps into the BCAP if the enemy Atlanta tries to push in that way. Meanwhile, I'm making a beeline for the gap between those islands at the ACAP. If the enemy Kagero pushes into the ACAP, I can pretty much just pop up in front of him, surprise him and take him out. But that wasn't necessary. So all in all, a pretty good game. 170k damage, 4 kills, Confederate, Dreadnought. And this is what this line is quite capable of. And this is just a taste test of the tier 10 Henri. So if you haven't grinded this line yet, I can strongly recommend you doing that. So I wanna thank you guys so much for checking out this video. Please leave a like and a comment below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. I do appreciate it. Until next time guys, have a good one. Bye bye.